Calling all Back to the Future fans, I have been a lifelong fan myself. Don't believe me? Even with the blonde highlights. Well, guess what? This is the house that Marty goes back to in 1955 that is owned by Doc. And in reality, it's the Gamble House in Pasadena, built in 1908. It is a Craftsman icon. I want you to fire up that flux capacitor, hit subscribe. This is gonna be a good tour. Doc, let me in. I love Craftsman Architecture because you get to see all the work that went into building this home right out in the open, right on the surface. I love how Craftsman Architecture, it's almost like the bones of the home are exposed. I love all the detail that you see. You can just imagine the amount of work that went into creating this cascading staircase as well. You can see all the handcrafted details on here, and these are actually what are holding everything together. So that's not just a decorative detail, that's the joinery. It was actually the Gamble family who lived here, second generation of the Procter and Gamble family. This was their winter home. In 1963, they moved out, and then they donated it to the city of Pasadena in 1966. But there are so many hidden gems. Something else that's kind of interesting here that you don't see in a lot of Craftsman style homes are all the soft edges. You won't find a sharp or bulky corner anywhere in this house. All of this was smoothed down, sanded down, and it gives it this gorgeous aesthetic. You know how I feel about secret rooms. This entry has two secret rooms. Secret door number 1, secret door number 2. Why don't I show you where this goes? I don't know if we're even allowed to go here, but follow me. This is the kitchen, and not an area where the family would really spend any time. This was the household staff that used this whole wing of the house. But look how spacious. This is bigger than most modern day kitchens. You can just imagine all the meals that were prepared here. And then if you're wondering, well, where do we take the meals? Who needs help? Have you ever heard of an annunciator? This is the Alexa of 100 years ago. Someone would push a button in their room, it would illuminate, and there'd be a little ding, and then they know, okay, we need to go to that room of the house and see what they need or bring them something there. I also love the fact that they've got these pantries. Everything is built with such craftsmanship. Whereas today, sometimes I feel like things are an afterthought. Every square inch of this home, whether it was the woodwork, the detail, the counters, sugar pine on top, maple cabinetry underneath. I love vintage appliances. Look how substantial this is. This entire home, which is funny to say because it's from 1908, this is a very modern home because at the time the Gambles wanted to make sure they were investing in anything that was going to be the future. A lot of houses still had gas for their lighting. These guys went all electric. They didn't have a barn, they had a garage. They doubled down on anything that they thought would bring it into the new era of home design and home building, and they really did a nice job. In fact, this is more functional than a lot of kitchens I see today that are built in sort of that mass-produced row home aesthetic. This would be the eating area for the household staff. Almost looks like maybe a porch or a sunroom that was enclosed, separate exit to the outside, separate entrance down to the basement. This truly is the heart of the home. Whether it's through the annunciator, finding out where they need to go, there's access to every area of the home from here. Let's keep going. Now, this is a room that has thrown some pretty incredible parties. But when you look around again, that's what I love about the craftsmanship here, the architecture, all the woodwork, the detail. The architects were Greene Greene. They were brothers, the original property brothers. These guys put so much thought into the detail, even when it comes down to the furniture. So this is designed after a Suba plate. And so you'll see this shape repeated subtly throughout the entire home. Up here on the light fixture, you see it here. Even over here in the glass, you can see the detail in the leaded glass, or even over here when you have this pearl finish on the glasswork here. They've played with this design here on light plates all throughout the house. That, in my opinion, is the calling card of an incredible architect, because you should walk into a home, you don't even know what it is, you don't even place what it is, but something just feels cohesive throughout the entire place. I can only imagine the incredible entertaining that happened in here and the incredible stories. Even when you look at the built-ins and all of the storage, everything was done so tastefully and finished so perfectly. It makes me want to just get back into making furniture and making cabinetry. That's my dream. At some point, I'm going to retire and I'm going to, take a note from the Greene brothers and I'm going to start making my own furniture again. Drew is missing out on this tour because, this is like my candy store. The architects thought of so many things except, are there going to be tall Canadians walking in here in the future? They didn't think of that, but everything in here is designed to draw the eye. If you look at the detail of the frieze going all the way around the room, this is Japanese influence, and you see the carvings, which a lot of times you would see on cedar, which is really expressive. You can see the depth to it. They did this in redwood, which actually is just as beautiful. I've never thought of doing this, and this is one continuous piece the whole way across. You see it sometimes in plaster, you see different types of designs. I've never actually seen it in person carved in redwood like this, and it is gorgeous. But all of those little motifs, whether it's in the glass, whether it's on the frieze, everywhere the detail is just incredible. This here is an ingle nook, so people would come in, they would sit by the fire, read a book. But something else I thought was quite interesting, and again proves how modern this home is, this home did have central heat throughout the whole home. A lot of times these older homes would just be heated from the fireplaces on each level, and then you had a lot of cold zones. This was really, really modern for the time, and just looking at how they integrated the grates is nice. Even today, one of my biggest pet peeves is when people have a floor vent that is sticking up above the hardwood and you catch your toe on it. These are the masters. Go back to the original practices. Everything should be flush. Everything should be beautiful. The Greenes designed furniture for every space. They designed the area rugs. There are 5 of these custom rugs that were designed here, inspired by paintings that the family loved, and then made abroad. But this would have been probably the most popular room in the house. This is where you were entertaining, having drinks, having laughs, or who knows, maybe a cigar, I don't know. I also just love the fact that when you look out here, it's just like a postcard. Every single window you look through is just a beautiful view. I love this. Now I know why Doc lived here. Welcome to the guest room. And this is an interesting room because the furniture in here is elevated from what would be like regular everyday furniture, because of course you want to show off to your guests a little. The house actually only took about a year to build. The furniture, 2 years to make, because you can see all the intricate detail in the chairs and the desks and everything, even down the front of the legs. It took longer to make the furniture than it did to make the house. Isn't that crazy? But what a great room this would be if your guests were here and they're enjoying the space. Even the subtle details, like in the light fixtures here, your sconces, you see there's a little rose detail here, which reflects looking out that window, and you can see the roses in the garden. I love the foresight in design when having these made, knowing what the plantings were going to be, knowing how the guests would enjoy this space. But the one thing a modern guest might find a little strange, if you look in the bathroom, there's no toilet. Have you ever seen that before? 100 years ago, people didn't go to the bathroom. That's not true. It's a split bathroom. So because multiple people might need to use the toilet, there's a separate powder bath on that side, and then this is just the sink and the tub. And that was sort of a way to give you some privacy if you're bathing, but still have a shared appliance for everybody to use. So I thought that was actually kind of an ingenious idea. Something else that's pretty incredible, people still live here to this day. There's a program called the Scholars in Residence program where architecture students can actually live in this home. And up until the 90s, they were actually able to use the main living area, main dining room, and then they changed the program to specific areas of the home. But it's a nice way that you can have architecture students who are passionate about the history of a building like this actually enjoying and caretaking for the space at the same time. I thought that was a really nice way to still have life within these walls, other than the tours that we're doing. Keep going. Look how generous this staircase is, how wide and open it feels. Today, a lot of skinny little staircases. These railings are obviously grandfathered in. They're a little lower than what we require today. However, look at the detail here. I love that it follows every single step. And then there's nothing obstructing your view when you get to the top here. The way it's structured, it's all open. How incredible. There's room to dance. Am I allowed to dance here? I don't know. You won't show that, right? Let's talk about how this hallway does not get enough love because it doesn't even feel like a hallway. It feels like a ballroom. You have so much space, you have built-in storage, you have windows on both sides that you could open up to get some airflow. I think today in modern architecture, they usually just make hallways a thing of function, but no beauty. I disagree. This is a beautiful space that just happens to connect two other beautiful spaces. How do you hang your pictures today? Do you have a rail that goes around your entire house and you suspend your artwork from that? No. Today we just punch holes right into the wall, but back in the day, this is how they used to do it. This is the Gamble's room, and before I come in, there's a cute little knocker here that you have to see. Woof, woof. That way nobody just barges in and interrupts mom and dad. So you can see the original light switches as well. So they're push button style. That's off, that's on. Adorable, but how cool is this room and how spacious. You have the same details that you'd expect everywhere else, but a lot more of this custom-made furniture. And even something too that highlights the beauty of the wood and integrates the knots right into it. This is a really, really great statement for the quality of craftsmanship that you would see in a craftsman-style home, but particularly one from the Greene brothers. Here you also have another little nook, an ingle nook that you could enjoy. With a day bed, you could fall asleep and wake up and not have messed up your bed. To quote Barbara Streisand, the secret to a happy marriage, separate beds. Or wait, she said separate bedrooms. I don't know, I disagree. But this is how the Gambles had it here. Again, you see the craftsmanship, the shape that keeps repeating throughout. Beautiful joinery on the light fixtures here with the semi-precious stones on the outside. I love it when you go somewhere and anywhere you look, it's like when you spin the globe and you stick your finger. You could spin this house and put your finger anywhere and there's something incredible to talk about. But I also want to see Auntie Julia's room. Aunt Julia's room. And what an incredible room it is. Can you imagine if you had a family member who's like, hey, I need to come stay with you for a little while. Do you mind making all my furniture out of specific woods and making sure it's all size appropriate for me? Would you do that? Because the Gambles were really good hosts and they made everything in here specifically. She loved ash and wicker. So all the furniture, you can see the ash, you can see the wicker, even with the custom pockets for magazines, the lower makeup vanity. The second most frequent question they get here is the house haunted? Well, I don't know, jury's out, different people say different things. However, any paranormal activity that ever has been mentioned has surrounded Aunt Julia. Thankfully, Aunt Julia was lovely, and she's probably just keeping an eye on all of us, making sure that we're not, mucking things up. But one thing that I do want to show you, which was interesting, everyone loved their bedrooms in this house, but every bedroom also had a sleeping porch, so you could sleep outside. Every one of these bedrooms has a porch. Can you imagine how peaceful it would have been to sleep out under the stars, or actually underneath this beautiful Craftsman beamwork? Again, you can see how gorgeous they are, rounded on all the corners. The board and batten that just runs the whole length of the home. And actually they're using it to create separation from the rest of the architecture because you can see the shakes over by the window and the view is stunning. Originally, these trees would not have been so tall, not so mature, so you'd be able to actually see the Rose Bowl all the way over there. In fact, you'd have a massive view all the way around. This wall here, also designed by Greene Greene. At the time, in 1908, they wanted it to look like it was 100 years old at that time. So they wanted it to look like it was from 1800. But I love the mix of materials. It looks random, but purposeful, which is pretty incredible. I feel like this is one of those spaces that everybody would have their own use for. Kids especially would love to be up here. This room has not only the best view in the entire house, but also the highest elevation with windows all the way around. The architects originally pitched this as a billiard room, but the Gambles did not play billiards. So instead, kind of a flex space. I miss how houses used to be designed to get people together, play billiards, read, socialize, dance, whatever it was gonna be. Now it typically is like, well, let's just make the rooms we absolutely need, but we don't need the extra spaces. Let's go back to that. You can see the same kind of craftsmanship, all the shutters that are closed here, custom matching, the beamwork, even the strapping that you see on some of these beams, it's pretty incredible. Everything is just tucked in and tailored nice and tight. I don't know if I've ever seen quality craftsmanship, at least not for a very, very long time, like I'm seeing here. This was really cool. Talk about an adventure. You can check out the Gamble House. It's open most days for tours. It's the only Greene Greene home in the world that is available for the public to see. So don't be a biff. Get excited about historical architecture. Make sure you subscribe and tell me, where do you want me to go next? What house do you want me to tour? Because I'm willing to go anywhere you send me.